Without these key elements in their history, the children were being socially engineered into another direction. So we've got several generations now where this kind of social engineering has perpetuated through the school systems. Fortunately, there are a number of people who became aware of this, particularly when Bill Bennett was the Secretary of Education and had said that every child in this country should be taught by a Jesuit. The Jesuits are the intelligence arm of the Vatican, and was very much corrupted into bringing what Adolf Hitler said was a way to mass mind control generations. It was Adolf Hitler who said that if there were any free thinkers left in society, he wasn't concerned because he had control of the minds of the children through the education system. That was something that I heard Bill Bennett quote himself in the application of the global education into the system. My experience in MK Ultra, once it was on a White House Pentagon level, included working under Bill Bennett, which was how I was privy to that information as well. And I had seen it as a young child in Mackinac Island, Michigan, when it was first being implemented by George Romney. Michigan had soared to the top of the education system back in those days, and now, of course, we've had the global education just permeate through our schools. But fortunately, the people have become more aware and are waking up, and there's more and more homeschooling that's going on, which is very much a solution. But it's also important that people are re-educated to what history actually is, and people like Wendy, who are making those kind of efforts in their own areas of life, who are aware of it, are what is key to undoing this tangled mess of social engineering and mass mind control that has permeated our society and brought us to this point that we're looking at today. My owner in MK Ultra Mind Control was U.S. Senator Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd has been in office longer than I've been alive, and he's still in office today. He's been head of our Senate Appropriations Committee, which means that he decides how money is going to be spent and how it's going to be delegated, and he has made sure that more and more states' rights are lost in favor of federal intervention. And that was how global education was brought into the school systems, as states' rights were overridden. The last holdout for states' rights in the education system was in the state of Alabama under Governor Fob James, who said that the federal government has no business meddling in the minds of our children, and he turned down all federal funding in order to maintain freedom of thought, in order to maintain a base of truth in the history in the school systems. And yet, I also watched the progress where the federal government came in and took away the states' rights and just simply overrode it. Based on what? Senator Byrd is very learned in the Constitution. I think he knows more about the Constitution than anybody I've ever encountered, that's for sure. And he can quote the Constitution much the way that a Satanist can quote the Bible, where they can take the information, or they can take the words and twist them around and use semantics and switch them to fit their own agenda. And it sounds plausible, and surely you can read it right there, but it's out of context nevertheless. It's what they say. They're capable of doing it. And Senator Byrd was manipulating our Constitution to the point where the New World Order agenda took firm hold. Now we're seeing where our Constitution is just simply being eroded more and more. I'm deeply concerned for the recent events here in the state of California, where the governor here, who is not an American-born citizen, has an enormous movement going to change the Constitution in order that he be able to run for president. This governor that you all have is a good friend of George Bush's, and I've seen this forthcoming and have even talked about it now for nearly a decade, and yet it wasn't as pertinent as it is today. Hopefully the information will reach people enough to where they're going to realize that as you see more and more of your state's rights eroding, it's for a specific purpose. But money, again, is ultimately at the top of all this and is dictating this New World Order agenda. There's a massive amount of greed that continues to run and permeate our society. The different criminal operations that I was forced to participate in during the Reagan-Bush administration are detailed in our book, Transformation of America. That information was compiled for Congress as testimony, and when, upon the advice of federal attorneys, the information was released en masse in 1995. There's a number of, particularly then, there were a number of people in Congress who know how essential it is that good people have a knowledge base of truth and wake up and see what is going on in our country, to begin to realize how this transformation of America was taking hold far more so than it ever did in Nazi Germany. Mark and I just returned from Europe, and like he was saying, we spoke in Germany, and that was quite an experience. And to see so many people who have been affected by mind control directly, who have seen it in their own families, who are acutely aware of what social engineering is in society. They know what's happening in the United States. They've been talking about it for years that I'm aware of, particularly on the education aspect, because it was exactly what Hitler had implemented, and they were recognizing it. They were also recognizing the erosion of our medical system and how we were becoming more and more financially dependent in this state, and losing more and more of our individual rights to information control. But the compassion of people not only in Germany, but all over the world where Mark and I have been speaking out is very encouraging. To go outside this country, it's like a whole new world. I mean, it's such a privilege to see that people are awake and aware. They know what mind control is. They know that mind control has a firm grip on America right now, that there is a criminal faction in control of our government that is seeking to control the world. And it's inexcusable that we continue to follow leaders that we didn't elect. We know that these people that are in place right now weren't elected. They keep taking the elections. Consider that the electronic voting machines were manufactured by a key corporation that's one of the among the very, very few that are actually controlling the media. They also manufactured our voting machines. And Dick Cheney is associated with that corporation, much the same way he is with Halliburton.